Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in, and today let's review The Plague Doctor of Wippra. And that is a point-and-click adventure game pretty much made by one person that I think is always impressive. In this game you play a doctor in a small German town called Wippra during an outbreak of the plague. This plays out somewhere, I think in late 1500s, something like that. And in this game, your task as a doctor, of course, is to help people out. And what's very interesting is that this sort of medieval setting, again, you don't see a lot of games dealing with this theme. And even though it takes place a long time ago, this game really feels very current because it deals with this problem of the plague, but there are all these powers involved with that. You know, it's how the government deals with the situation to barricade all these houses, to seal them off, how religious people deal with it, how people themselves deal with it, blaming other people, or having all these superstitions about the plague. It is very interesting because of the thing that we've been dealing with in the past few years. So this game feels very much relevant in that way. And again, it really takes balls, so to speak, to take a subject like that head on and make an adventure game out of it. So props to the developer for doing that, although this game is somewhat heavy-handed by default, I would say, because it just deals with something that is not very nice, of course. So there is a significant lack of humor in this game. I would have liked a little bit more light-hearted dialogue here and there, but alas, it's not there. Again, it's a very unique story. Now, of course, this is a point-and-click adventure game that's modeled after the classics, so the graphics aren't much to write home about, unless, like me, you've grown up with these type of games in the past. And I get this nostalgic feeling when I play these type of games, but I can also understand that modern gamers might look at this and think, well, this looks pretty bad or very crude. But again, I do like this style of graphics. There are other styles of pixel art that sort of appeal to a broader audience, but I think this is pretty much a good style, although it is so pixelated that it's sometimes hard to see what these objects are, the things that are on the screen. Although it is not recommended, I would say that use the highlight option in the settings so that you actually know what to interact with in the game. Also, I have to mention there's some really nice musical tunes in this game that really underline what is going on, as well as sound effects that sort of add to the whole atmosphere. There are no voices, no voice acting, but that is understandable since this is definitely an indie adventure game. But ultimately, a good adventure game is also about puzzles. Unfortunately, I had some trouble with the puzzles, and it might be because I'm not good at puzzling, although I do suspect in this case, I think that some of the puzzles could have been better. Some of the puzzles were open for interpretation, so to speak. I'm not going to spoil any of that. Sometimes there was an item that was somewhat obscured in the environments of the game, in the screen, so to speak. At some point there was an item that I needed but I couldn't find that was hidden behind a door, obviously, so you had to actually close the door to reveal a new item that I could pick up. Also, the puzzles sort of emphasize on following a certain procedure, and you can easily overlook something that you should have done in order to get, well, a good ending. There's also a bad ending, which is great, by the way. I like the fact that this game offers various endings, but still, when you get the bad ending, it's like, oh, I did something wrong at some point. It does make you want to go back to a certain point in the game to make a different make a different decision, so to speak, or take a different route now that you have learned what the effects are of a certain choice. You'll have to play the whole game again, so you cannot save manually. The game sort of saves at certain points in the game, which is also a little bit unfortunate, but I can understand it because the game sort of wants to push you forward after you've made a certain decision. So I can live with that. It is a fairly small game. You'll probably finish it in, I think, 1.5 to 2.5 hours. So that does raise the question whether or not the around the $10 that it costs is worth it. I do think it is worth it if you want to go back and play the whole thing again. I do think that this game could have been a little bit longer. Once I got the hang of the whole idea and the style and the things that were going on, it ended basically, which was a little bit unfortunate as well. But as it stands, I have to say, the puzzles aside, I think this is a fairly unique game. And again, it takes a lot of courage for a developer to choose a story or a setting like this instead of going for something more popular. So yeah. Thanks, guys, for watching. That is what I think of the Plague Doctor of Wippra. Let me know what you think, and see you in the next video.